Hey everyone, and welcome back into another episode. I am excited to be here with you today, bringing you another really powerful conversation where I'm going to dive into something that I don't think we've talked a lot about on the podcast, but I'm excited to bring through for you. We're going to be talking about becoming a fully expressed feminine woman, right? A woman who is fully expressed in the fullness of who she is, in the full range of who she is, in her light and her dark, in her true authentic self, and fully expressed in her ability to speak her truth, use her voice, and communicate, right? And depending on what your perception is of the feminine, you might not initially think about expression and being the fullness of yourself as part of your feminine healing or reclamation journey. You know, if we ever have these perceptions of the feminine as being more demure or passive or sweet or surrendered and flowy, we might not think that feminine healing and embodiment is about expression. We might not put together the idea of being feminine and being this big, bright, bold, fully expressed woman, because again, we might have this perception of what a woman should be or what the feminine should be. However, coming into your full expression is such a key part of your feminine embodiment journey. It's a key part of what I support women with, and it's a key part of like being in our feminine power as a woman is our ability to express ourselves. So we're going to go into it today. I don't think I've really dedicated an episode as yet to really talking about feminine expression and being in our full expression. So I'm really looking forward to bringing this to you today. So I'm going to talk about in this episode about how being a fully expressed woman means really integrating and embracing and embodying your full range. So everything from your light to your dark and everything in between. We're going to talk a bit about light and dark feminine energy and how to embrace and claim all parts of you, parts of yourself that maybe you've been rejecting and pushing away and judging, and how to bring these parts forth so they can be more embodied and more expressed, and you can be more of the fullness of who you are. And I want to give you this little process. It's a little process I've used. There's like 4 steps in it that you can take yourself through to really reclaim some elements of yourself and bring these through and make them more fully expressed in who you are, so you can feel more free, more authentic, more empowered, more of the fullness of who you are, more liberated, really breaking out of all of these chains and limitations and roles and masks that we wear and that we play to try to be who we think we need to be for other people. Because ultimately, a woman who's in her feminine energy, her feminine power, who's fully self-expressed, she's unapologetic. That's really the place we want to get to. We want to get to the place where we have burned up all of your good girl, people-pleasing tendencies, your need to play small and appease other people and modify yourself to get love and dim yourself and hide certain parts of yourself. And we want to really allow you to be much more unapologetic in being who you are and actually feeling safe in that and actually feeling free in that, and then being able to support yourself if any fear or discomfort any parts of you that feel unsafe in that come up, you know, how we support you when that happens. So we're going to dive into all of that today. And this is something I work a lot on in Divine Femme. We do it a lot more in the final third of the program. And I do this a lot in the embodiment calls with the women, and this is why I love embodiment work, because embodiment work allows you to access and tap into more of your full range, to tap into parts of yourself that you may not be accessing or connected to, and to bring them through your body and move your body in new ways. So embodiment is the place where I personally began really exploring and reclaiming a lot of parts of myself that I spent so many years judging and denying. And it's how I support a lot of women to do this work. And in Divine Femme, alongside a lot of the feminine healing and embodiment work, in the later part of the program, I'm supporting the women a lot with embodying their authentic self and embracing all parts of who they are, speaking their truth, finding their voice, being able to communicate from their womb with power so they're really heard and received when they communicate. I work on the feminine archetypes in the final module of Divine Femme, which means integrating and embracing all 7 archetypes that make up your feminine energy. And then we also work with the dark feminine and feminine power, which means setting boundaries, saying no, fiercely honoring yourself, and saying goodbye to the good girl, the perfectionist, the overgiver, the overachiever, which are all the roles that we play to get love and to feel worthy and to feel good enough. So as you may have heard, we have enrollments open for Divine Femme at the moment. We have an intake starting in February. I have early enrollments open at the moment until Friday 31st of January. And if you enroll before Friday 31st, you can either get a pay in full discount or an extended payment plan. The best way to make the most of that is to come and get on the wait list. Go to conniechapman.com/divinefemme, and this is open to the wait list only. So get on the wait list. You'll be sent those links to come in on early enrollment. You get immediate access to a whole portal of welcome resources, and you can come in with a pay in full discount or extended payment plan. And this is where we do all this beautiful work. Not only the feminine reclamation, but really bringing you into the fullness of your expression as a woman. So if you want to be part of the February intake, come and join us in Divine Femme. Go to the show notes, get the link, or go to conniechapman.com/divinefemme, and I would love to see you in there and support you through this incredible journey. Okay, so I want to get into what it means to be a fully expressed woman. And I've got 3 elements here that, for me, this is what, it really means for us as women. Firstly, it means that we are integrated in both our light and dark feminine, in the full range and full spectrum of our feminine energy. This means like the light to the dark and everything in between. And it means that we are not putting ourselves in boxes of the way that we think we need to be as a woman and only expressing one flavor or one type of feminine energy, but it means we are able to dance between all of these energies, right? We're able to move between them fluidly and tap into all these different elements of ourself as needed. The second part of being a fully expressed woman is being our authentic self. It means being fully authentic, being able to express yourself fully, being able to be seen in who you truly are, not in the masks you wear, not in the roles you play, not in who you think you need to be to get love, to get connection, to belong, to get approval, right? A lot of these masks and roles are things like being the good girl, the cool girl, Miss Easygoing, the people pleaser, keeping everyone else happy, putting yourself last, making sure you're being perfect and you're keeping up this facade of perfection, being the nice girl, the sweet girl. It is demolishing all of that. It is unraveling all of that and just allowing more and more and more of who you truly are at your core to come through and to be felt and to be seen and to be witnessed by others. And then the third element of being a fully expressed woman is being able to use your voice. This is so important. There are so many women that feel incredibly silenced in their life, silenced in their ability to communicate what they want and need, to express their truth, to express their needs and their wants, to have a difficult conversation, to set a boundary and say no, to share what they're feeling, to use their voice. And there's a lot around the throat chakra for women, even based on like generational trauma, just long-standing trauma around the feminine, and persecution around using our voices, which can be very subconscious and even come from our lineage and be really passed down. So there's a huge part of our liberation as women that comes from really being able to find and use our voice. So I want to ask you and just get you to sit with this and think in yourself, what does being a fully expressed woman mean to you? What does it mean to you? What does it look like to you if you were to think about those 3 elements that I just shared? And where can you see that you are fully expressed? And where can you see that you're not? Where do you feel like you are really being the fullness of you and expressing yourself the way that you truly want? And where do you feel like you're not? Where do you feel held back? Where do you feel small? Where do you know that you are dimming and dulling and suppressing parts of yourself out of fear? And so let's talk about, why are we not fully expressed women, right? Why are we not fully expressed women? And again, I'll touch on these 3 elements of being fully expressed and what sort of holds us back in these areas. And again, reflect on this in yourself. So one of the first reasons, and this ties into my first point around being able to embrace our light and dark and our full spectrum, is we have this perception of who we need to be as a woman and as the feminine to be palatable and desirable and acceptable and wanted by others, and to be who we think a woman needs to be in our society, and who we think the feminine needs to be desirable and palatable and digestible and accepted. And this keeps us cut off from so many elements of our feminine energy. Because feminine energy, like I said, it's the full range. Like any energy or expression that you can think of is a part of the feminine. She's everything. And I always describe the feminine like the weather, and the way that the weather can dance between all these different expressions. Like, for example, I live on the Gold Coast and we're in the peak of summer right now, and it's very tropical here. And we literally have a change in the weather every 30 minutes, every hour. 1 minute it's sunny, and then there's a storm that rolls in, and then it's literally rain and hail and wind, and then that clears, and then the sun's back again, and then it's like perfect blue skies. It is unbelievable to watch how fast the weather changes here. But that is such an incredible example of the feminine, always dancing and shifting and moving so fluidly between all these different energies. And 1 minute there's darkness and clouds and rain and heaviness, and then there's lightness and stunning blue sky, and it's radiant and everything is glimmering and shining and vibrant. And this is just the expression of the feminine, right? Always moving, shifting, dancing between different energies and expressions. So we can express, our feminine energy can express in more of a texture of light feminine energy, or in more of a texture of dark feminine energy, and also like sort of somewhere in between. But we can kind of have these 2 ends of the spectrum of how this energy can be expressed through us. So light feminine energy is probably a type of the feminine that you are most familiar with, that likely you feel most comfortable with, and probably that you associate the most with feminine energy. I know for me personally, light feminine energy tends to be my little home base. It's where I feel the most comfortable. It's what's the most familiar to me. And I probably would think most people would perceive me as being more embodied in my light feminine. And that's because that tends to be the energy that I lead the most from. But I am very integrated in my dark feminine, very, very integrated in my dark, but it's more behind the scenes for me. I don't necessarily lead my business from dark feminine energy, but I'm very integrated in it, and it tends to play out more in my relationships. My partner definitely sees my dark feminine energy, and I'm very embodied and integrated in this aspect of me. So light feminine, qualities of the light feminine: playful, loving, warm, nurturing, soft, caring, compassionate, receptive, flowing, surrendered. And this is the type of feminine that we sort of often first come into on our feminine journeys. We want to soften, we want to slow down, we want to open our hearts, we want to be more loving to ourselves and others, we want to feel lighter, we want to be able to surrender and relax and trust. And this is a really important element of the feminine to embrace. But there's also our dark feminine. And sometimes our dark feminine, we bring that more online the further we go through our journey. Or for some women, they start with their dark feminine reclamation, if that energy feels more comfortable or familiar to them. So qualities of the dark feminine: this is truth. This is the truth bringer. This is a fierce energy. There might be more of a darkness to this energy. It is the energy of sexuality, sensuality, mystery. It's an energy that is assertive, direct, sassy, spicy, passionate, seductive, wild. There's anger and rage that can come through the dark feminine. And dark feminine governs death and rebirth. This is really where we go on these descent cycles that take us down into the shadows, down into our depths, and then we're reborn as we go and meet these deeper elements of ourselves. But this is really a key part of integrating our power, is being able to integrate our dark feminine. So I see being the divine feminine as an integration of both light and dark feminine energies. The divine feminine is our whole integrated, embodied, empowered feminine essence. It includes the full spectrum of who we are as a woman. The divine feminine is all of it. And I remember years ago seeing this talk that John Wineland did. And this was when John Wineland very much started his journey, and he wasn't very well known. And he did this talk called What Men Crave. And it was very polarizing. Not everyone agreed with it. But in his talk, he said one of the key things that men crave is range. They crave range, the range of energies that a woman can bring through. And your power and the fullness of your expression lies in your ability to tap into your full range and bring through your full range. And he was saying that, women often think that men want all these different women. But what men crave is different energies. They crave different energies. And as a woman, you have the ability to bring all these different energies to your relationship. Where one minute you are the soft, nurturing, devotional wife or partner, and the next minute you're this fierce, wild, untamed, sexual, mysterious seductress. Like, the ability to bring all those energies. Sometimes you're sweet, sometimes you're spicy, sometimes you're surrendered and passive, and other times you're assertive and direct. We need to let ourselves be all of this as women. Okay, this is a key part of becoming a fully expressed woman. The second element of why we're not fully expressed is because we're not fully expressed in our authentic self. And this is something I work on a lot in Divine Femme with the women in the program. We work a lot on when was it that we disconnected from our authentic self and why. Because your authentic self is the core essence of who you are. It's what makes you who you are. It is the unique qualities, the unique energy, the unique flavor and texture of you. It's what makes you so unique. It is just what naturally exudes from you when you feel the most relaxed, the most yourself, the most at ease. It's these parts of you that come out when you're the most safe and comfortable, right? You get to just be your true self. And one thing I work on with women in Divine Femme is really going back to childhood and identifying those moments that we picked up the belief, we learned, we got the feedback that parts of our authentic self were not wanted we're not welcome, or we're not lovable. And this happens pretty much to every person that I work with, because as kids, we are just so fully expressed, so effortlessly and naturally ourselves. And then we have these experiences where at different points we get feedback from our parents or from school teachers or from peers. And it can feel like we're just 1 minute being our complete natural self, and then the next minute someone pulls away from us, or someone judges us, or someone rejects us, or someone says something hurtful, or someone ignores us, or someone yells at us and we get in trouble. We get told off. We get told that something about us is bad or wrong. And suddenly we feel shame. Suddenly we feel shame and we feel I've done something wrong, or there's something wrong with me. And to ensure that we never feel that pain ever again, and we never feel that shame ever again, we make an inner decision to reject and push away and hide and suppress whatever that part of ourself was that caused us to lose love, that caused us to get in trouble. And this is where the disconnect starts to happen internally as children. We get this feedback and we say, oh, this part must be bad, this part must be wrong, this part got me in trouble, this part lost me love. I'm going to hide and suppress those parts of myself, and then I'm going to figure out who do I need to be to get love, and then I'm going to be that. Do I need to be the high achiever? Do I need to be the good girl? Do I need to be the rescuer and help everyone? Do I need to be the quiet, sweet, nice, polite girl? And we start playing these roles, and we start wearing these masks, and we start modifying ourselves to get love. And so a huge part of coming back to being your authentic self is unraveling all of this conditioning and peeling away all of these layers and dismantling all of these masks of who you learn to be lovable, and starting to actually love and fall back in love with your authentic self, so you can feel safe to start to bring this back out into the world. And the third reason that we're not fully expressed women, and this ties into the point I made around using our voice, is that we don't feel safe to use our voice. We don't feel safe to speak up, to share our true thoughts, and to bring our truth and our needs and our desires to our relationships. And again, a lot of this comes from childhood. It comes from what was your dynamic with your parents. Did you feel seen and heard and understood? Were you able to express yourself and it was received, or did it create conflict? So part of this is actually reflecting on, like, what is my relationship to my expression based on what my childhood experiences were. But so much of this now comes down to our inability to handle conflict, our inability to handle someone else not agreeing with us, our inability to handle someone not understanding us, our inability to hold other people's reactions to our truth. So one element can be that we don't really know how to bring our truth out. We don't know how to use our voice, but really it's because we're afraid. We're afraid of what will happen if we do. We're afraid of how people will respond. We're afraid of what people will think. Okay, we are conflict avoiders. Yes, we're people pleasers, but we are conflict avoiders. We are so scared to speak our truth, to say no, to set a boundary, to ask for what we want and need, because we're so scared we're going to lose love and connection if we do. We are so scared we're going to encounter conflict. And so much of what allows us to start becoming more fully expressed in speaking our truth and finding our voice is about learning how to hold whatever comes as a result of doing that. Because what stops you at the moment is you don't have the nervous system capacity. You don't yet know how to hold what's going to come if you're fully expressed. You don't know how to hold the discomfort it's going to bring up. You don't know how to hold the shame that it might bring up. You don't know how to hold the fear that might come up of like losing that person that you care about. And this is all part of our healing work, is getting better at being able to hold the discomfort that comes from fully being ourselves. Until you can hold that discomfort, you won't be able to fully be yourself, because the fear of the repercussions of that will overrule you. And this is absolutely possible. And it's something I've had to work on so much in my journey, because you have two choices. Either don't express myself and hold everything in so that I can ensure I'm always loved, I'm always approved of, I don't lose connection, I keep everyone happy. Or learn to start fully expressing myself and begin to learn how to expand my capacity to hold people's negative reactions, people's judgments, people disagreeing with me, or people having a reaction. It's always those two choices. And this has happened so much in my work. Like, just an example, as I went on my journey of reclaiming my dark feminine, which was a big part of reclaiming my full expression, one of those elements for me was really reclaiming more of my sexuality and my connection to this darker, more seductress, sensual part of me. And a big element of that for me was getting into pole dancing. And I did this several years ago. I started doing pole dancing classes. And this is one of the places I fully started to just like find my dark feminine. And what was so cool was it like rippled into every area of my life. Like, she just became more and more embodied in me. And these classes, I got to, come into this seductress, this sensual, this woman who is empowered in her body and her sexuality, who was mysterious, who was magnetic, who moved her body in these whole new ways, and who danced to this certain type of music. And I got to turn her on in my body. And it was incredible. And she now flows through in a lot of my embodiment work and just who I am. And then I started to feel that I wanted to share this part of me more. So I would share clips of my pole dancing. I would share clips of my embodiment practices where I was moving my body in these ways that might be perceived as more sexual, more seductive, more sensual, and definitely had a darker element to them. And I can't tell you the reactions that I've had to that. How every time I would post a video like that, people would unfollow me. How every time I would post a video like that, I would get negative reactions. How I once posted an embodiment reel that was a compilation of those types of clips, and I got emails from people calling me narcissistic, telling me I needed to find Jesus, like basically shaming me for expressing this part of myself, and saying they were going to unsubscribe from my work and they couldn't follow me anymore. And wow, I was blown away. And so I could have collapsed into shame and been like, that was so bad and wrong. I can't believe I did that. But my work was, can I hold this? Can I hold these reactions? Can I hold people unfollowing me? Can I hold people judging me? And just sit with everything that brings up and feel it. Holding it means just being able to be present to it and feel it and not collapse into it, but just be like, okay, I'm going to feel this. I'm going to be with this, and just hold the fact that this is happening and hold steady in who I am. And every time you do that, you will get stronger and stronger and stronger in your self-expression, because this is what it means to be unapologetic. It means I am who I am, whether you like it or not. I am who I am, regardless of whether you're going to pull away from me or whether I get love and connection from you. And all it did was sift out the people in my community who were not in alignment with me, and brought more people into my space who celebrated and supported that aspect of me. And I tell you what, if you ever see people get triggered by you, for you being in your full expression, and this is what I witnessed when I was having this experience, and I saw this in the women, it shows you that this is a part of themselves that they have judged, rejected, and shamed and denied. It is a part of themselves that they are not owning, that they are not embodied in, and that they have pushed away. And then they see it embodied in you, and it triggers them, because it brings up in them the shame they feel about that part of themselves. It makes them uncomfortable to see a woman embodying a part, this expression that they in themselves don't feel comfortable to express. So it's never about the people that have reactions or judge you. You can either put all your attention on them, or you can just focus on being yourself and know that this is just triggering them because it's illuminating to them a part of themselves that they are not owning, that they are not embodying. And that's their journey. All right, so let me just quickly walk you through a 4-step process. I've used this process, and this has really helped me become a more fully expressed woman. Okay, so we have to understand that this is never about how do I get other people to accept me more? How do I get other people to love this part of me more? It all begins with you. It all begins with you reclaiming these parts of yourself and loving and accepting and celebrating these parts of you. So first step, I want you to reflect on what parts of yourself, whether it's parts of your light and dark feminine, parts of your authentic self, parts of like your expression, what parts are you rejecting, disowning, or feeling afraid of? What parts do you find cringe, too much, bad, or wrong? Maybe it's your anger. Maybe it's your sexuality. Maybe it's how direct you are. Maybe it's how big energy you are, how like bright and loud you are. What are these parts that you have rejected, disowned, shamed, judged? You're like, cringe, ooh, that's bad, that's wrong, I can't be that, I can't bring that out. You want to notice and look for places you feel shame or embarrassment. Because that shame, that's that past conditioning of no, this part of me is bad, this part of me is wrong. Yeah, that's what you want to look out for. You want to maybe notice what qualities in other women trigger you. Do you see other women being really confident, really bold, really expressed, really radiant, magnetic, sensual, sexual, and you're like, ugh, and it triggers you? Well, what it's triggering in you is very often showing you a part of yourself that you're not owning. Like, what stories do you hold around being feminine or being a woman or how a woman should be that's limiting you? And where are you not using your voice? Where are you not expressing yourself? Where are you not speaking up? Where are you not standing up out of fear of people's reactions or judgments or perceptions? And so then I want you to identify from here, what parts of yourself are you ready to reclaim? I want you to identify a couple of qualities, of energies, of forms of expression that you want to reclaim. Maybe it's your sexuality, maybe it's your sensuality, maybe it's your rage and your anger, maybe it's how big energy you are, maybe it's your emotional side, how sensitive you are. Maybe it's how direct you want to be in your expression, in how you communicate. Maybe it's like reclaiming this part of you that's actually very spiritual and you don't want anyone to know that, whatever it is for you. And what I want you to do in this second step is curate a playlist. I want you to create a playlist of songs that represent this part of yourself and help you tap into this part of yourself, help you feel this part of yourself. So I have a whole range of playlists that you get access to when you join Divine Femme that express the full range of the feminine. I've got playlists called Tender Feels, which is about really tapping into the soft, all-feeling feminine. I've got a playlist called Fierce Feminine, or Fierce Femme, which is about that real fierce, bold, strong feminine, empowered feminine. I've got a playlist called Divine Femme, which is those more spiritual, sacred, like divine feminine essence. I've got a playlist called Seductress. Oof, this is one of my favorites, which gets you tapping into more dark, mysterious, sexual, sensual elements of the feminine. I've got an emotional alchemy playlist, which really plays songs that get me tapping into my rage and my anger and doing some big cathartic release, right? Curate a playlist. Once you decide what part of yourself you want to bring forth more, curate this playlist and then move your body. Dance to these songs, sings to these songs, move your body in new ways. Let your body start to inhabit this quality. Let this quality fill your body. You become the embodiment of it. Because the first step is you have to reclaim this part of yourself. You have to become familiar with this part of yourself again. You have to let it exist within you before you can express it. You have to reclaim it before you can express it. So move your body as this version of yourself, as this most confident, powerful, bold version of yourself, this most sensual, sexual part of yourself, this most tender, emotional part of yourself, this most big, bright, attention-seeking part of yourself, whatever it is, okay? Move your body as that woman and make sound. Open that throat chakra, make sound. Whatever sounds come out, whether it's singing or screaming or rage release or moaning or crying or sighing or just speaking what you want to say, turn on your voice as you move your body and make sound. So that was a big place I started when I wanted to tap into more of my dark feminine. I brought her through in rage release practices. I brought her through in sexual and sensual practices, working with music and moving my body. And I also brought her through in just turning on my power and letting myself feel strong and bold and assertive and powerful in my body. So that is my little homework to you. The third step is to, as you begin to first own these aspects of you, another element it could be, it just came to mind, is your playful side. It could be a really lighthearted, playful, silly side that you don't let yourself tap into anymore because you think you have to be so serious. So sometimes being able to even tap into that through just being childlike and playful is really needed. Okay. The third step is to practice embodying. After you've worked on this in your own practice embodying and bringing this part of you to your relationships. And I would say to the relationships that feel most safe to you. You really want to be discerning around who you start to bring this to. But you might want to reflect on, okay, if I wanted to bring some more of this into my relationships, maybe just journal on what would it look like to bring some of these qualities to my relationships? What would it look like to let some of this start to be expressed in these most safe relationships in my life? And what would it look like to have this part of myself be witnessed? Okay, because this is what will embody it even more. Have it be witnessed by someone. What would it look like to move my body in the relationship as this part of me? What would it look like to speak as this part of me in the relationship? How does she want to dress? What does she want to say? How does she want to move? And start to practice bringing her into your relationship. One of the key places that I did this in my partnership was I began to practice dancing for my partner. And that was such an edge for me. I can't even tell you how uncomfortable and terrifying it was. But I shared this desire with him that I wanted to be able to bring some of the dance I would do in my embodiment practices. I wanted to dance for him. I wanted to show him the way I was moving my body. And once I communicated that to him, we began working on providing that safe space for me to move for him and dance for him and seduce him. And it was so uncomfortable, but it is now something that's deeply embodied, deeply welcomed and celebrated in my relationship, and something that I very often do, and one of my favorite things to do, because there's a big difference between just embodying it and then having it be witnessed. So I want to stretch you and have you think about how could you have this part of yourself be witnessed, whether it is just in a conversation you want to have, a certain element of yourself you want to bring through, a certain part of yourself you want to let be seen. And then the final step, the fourth step here, is what I was touching on before, is you have to practice holding and taking care of any part of yourself along this process that feels uncomfortable, that feels scared, or that feels unsafe. And being able to hold the discomfort, the vulnerability, the ickiness, the shame, whatever comes up, being able to hold yourself inside of that, which means feeling what comes up and then offering a lot of reassuring self-talk and self-validation to yourself and the younger parts of yourself that are feeling scared. If you start bringing a part of yourself out, you have to really make sure that you keep very encouraging, supportive self-talk. Do not turn on yourself and begin to shame and judge and beat up on yourself. You need to celebrate yourself, validate yourself, validate the fuck out of yourself. Just be like, yes, I love this part of you. This is so good. I want to see more of it. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you being yourself, right? You need to celebrate yourself before you can expect anyone else is going to. And you need to hold yourself in whatever uncomfortable emotions come up, the more you start to be more fully expressed. So this is absolutely a process that I have worked on. I've done this a lot, and it has been incredible for the woman that I not only get to be in my relationship, but the woman I get to be in myself. Being able to feel like I can be so me. I can be the fullness of me. I can share all of who I am online or with my friends or with my partner, and not have to wear masks and play roles and dim and hide and minimize aspects of who I am. This is an incredibly important part of becoming a feminine woman. A feminine woman is not here to just be small and demure and passive and quiet and please everyone. You are here to be the fullness, the full spectrum of who you are as a woman. That is true feminine embodiment. So as I mentioned, I do a lot of work on this inside Divine Femme with the women, right? Not only are we embodying different aspects of your feminine, we're bringing them into embodiment practices together. So you're learning how to really get your body familiar with inhabiting and embodying these different parts of yourself. And then there's so many elements of the coursework and also in our coaching calls where I'm supporting you to become more fully expressed, whether it's in finding your voice, speaking your truth, setting boundaries, expressing different elements of your energy, being more of your authentic self, bringing forth more of your dark feminine. This is such a liberating journey for us as women, and it's so necessary. We need big, bold, fully expressed women on this planet, yeah? We don't want you hiding and being small and missing out on receiving what you truly want and being able to create what you truly want in your life. So I want to invite you into Divine Femme, my love. This is such a transformational journey. You will not come out the other side as the same woman you were when you entered. The work we do in this program will absolutely change the woman that you are in your life. So if you want to join us in this February intake, come to conniechapman.com/divinefemme. Thank you for being tuned into this episode, my loves. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to talking to you again next time.